It's Monday, October 28. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, wants Jamaicans to take a more proactive approach in the fight against dengue. This, he said, is in light of climate change and other environmental factors which will result in mosquito-borne diseases becoming more frequent and aggressive. Dr. Tufton noted that 80% of breeding sites are found in the home environment. He said that persons must work individually and collectively in eradicating mosquito breeding grounds. The Health and Wellness Minister was speaking at the Southern Regional Health Authority's Dengue Awareness Town Hall in St. Elizabeth. He urged persons to consult a medical doctor if they experience dengue-related symptoms and warned against the practice of self-medicating. Dengue fever is transmitted by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, and symptoms of the disease typically begin 3 to 14 days after infection. These may include high fever, headache, vomiting, muscles and joint pains, and a skin rash. Symptoms usually last for 2 to 7 days. Dr. Tufton reassured Jamaicans that the government will continue to enhance and expand the vector control activities in the fight against dengue. The government continues to bolster its counter-drug response with strategies put in place that are focused on demand and supply reduction and control measures. That's the word from Chief Technical Director in the Ministry of National Security, Rohan Richards. He says the measures, which are in accordance with the Organization of American States Hemispheric Drug Strategy, also include building capacity through institutional strengthening and international cooperation. Mr. Richards says some of the activities undertaken include the relaunch of the Jamaica Drug Information Network by the National Council on Drug Abuse (NCDA) in collaboration with the OAS Inter-American Drug Abuse Control Commission. The expansion of the Jamaica Constabulary Force K9 Division for greater narcotic drug detection. Enhancing sub-regional cooperation with a number of countries via maritime and law enforcement agreements, and bolstering border control measures through acquisition of patrol boats and airplanes. He was speaking at the opening ceremony for the presentation of Multilateral Evaluation Mechanism 7th Round National Evaluation Reports on Drug Policies 2019 at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel in Kingston on the weekend. Robust measures are being established to safeguard the country's financial system against money laundering schemes and the financing of terrorism. This assurance comes from Leader of Government Business in the Senate, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, who said these strategies include strengthening the legislative framework dealing with these matters. She was addressing members at the last sitting of the Senate.
We've always taken a strong stance regarding our role in combating global terrorism and the financing of terrorism, and the bills before us today seek to address all of these. Beyond that, the bills before us are, as importantly and perhaps more so depending on your perspective, they're geared at protecting our financial systems and our economy by ensuring our compliance with certain international obligations.
The bills, the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2019, the United Nations Security Council Resolutions Implementation Act 2019, and the Proceeds of Crime Act 2019 were introduced and approved during the sitting. Johnson-Smith explained that POCA 2019 provides primarily for the investigation, identification and recovery of the proceeds of crime, and the amendment seeks to broadly strengthen the existing regime. She noted that the amendment to the Terrorism Prevention Act will ensure alignment with the provisions of POCA and that the country is compliant with international obligations as they relate to terrorism. In addition, the changes to the UN Security Council Resolutions Implementation Act are in adherence with measures to counter money laundering and the financing of terrorism, while also in line with POCA.
Mr. President, I have sought to emphasize the importance of this legislation, all three pieces of legislation, which are required to protect our financial sector, our financial sectors, and the ability of Jamaica to engage with the international financial system in a way that is positive, progressive, and safe and secure, one that not only protects our business, but plays our part in protecting the global financial system, which seeks to end money laundering or reduce it, make it too risky for us to be a location for that to happen, as well as, of course, to reduce the correspondent banking risks which we have been experiencing across the Caribbean region.
Johnson Smith noted that the passage of the laws allowed Jamaica to seek a re-rating within the FATF's May 2020 plenary. The Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2019 and POCA 2019 were passed with 2 amendments each, while the UN Security Council Resolutions Implementation Amendment Act was approved without amendment. The Agriculture Ministry is reporting an 87% increase in cocoa production in areas where the Frosty Pod Rot Management Project was initiated. Chief Plant Quarantine and Produce Inspector in the Ministry of Agriculture, Saniel Wilson, confirmed that the project, which was undertaken in 11 communities in St. Mary, assisted with the increase. He said since 2016, Jamaica was producing an average 100 metric tons of cocoa annually. It has increased to 145 metric tons. The frosty pod rot is a highly contagious disease that affects the fruit of the cocoa plant. The disease can greatly reduce crop output. The most recent outbreak of the disease in Jamaica started in Clarendon in 2016. Peter Fukui, former candidate for Southeast St. Anne, businessman and brother of the Labour and Social Security Minister Shahini Robinson, is dead. He died on October 25 after a long illness. He competed for the Southeast St. Anne seat in 2007. Leader of the Jamaica Labour Party, Andrew Holness, said the party, quote, honors the contribution of Mr. Fukui and supports his family in this time of sorrow, end quote. The US dollar on Friday, October 25, ended trading at Jamaican $138.80, down by 10 cents. That's according to the Bank of Jamaica's daily foreign exchange trading summary. The Canadian dollar ended trading at Jamaican $108.53, up from $106.21. The British pound sterling ended trading at Jamaican $178.14, down from $179.42. In regional news, the United States will suspend all scheduled flights to Cuba except its capital, Havana, as U.S. President Donald Trump pushes to dismantle the rapprochement begun by his predecessor, Barack Obama. The suspension, which goes into effect December 10, was announced by the Department of Transportation and affects 9 airports on the island nation. The Trump administration accuses Cuba of aiding and abetting crisis-racked Venezuela, which is Havana's closest ally. Cuba rejected the measure and vowed that it would fail, with Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez stating, quote, concessions will not be taken from us, end quote. In Guyana, opposition leader Brat Jagdeo is urging the chair of the Guyana Electoral Commission, GECOM, Claudette Singh, to put in place an independent oversight team of electoral bodies. He says a group that has no stake in elections can offer advice to the chairman ahead of the next general and regional elections in March 2020.
I believe that Justice Singh served the country well as a judge, and I believe I continue to believe she has great integrity. What I believe is that she has to understand that this is not the court. When you're a judge, you make a decision, you expect people to your staff to faithfully carry out the decision or a ruling. That in GECOM, it has become almost like a political machinery, and that people who come and chat with you, they may have ulterior motives. And therefore, you have to get into the technical details of what is being discussed and also stay on top of what is being issued by GCOM to see that it faithfully represents the views of the organization and not individuals.
In Dominica, opposition supporters took to the streets Friday during the annual Creole celebrations, defying a police ban on demonstrations. The protesters demanded the resignation of Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit and the chairman of the Electoral Commission.
United Workers' Party UWP leader Lennox Linton said he delivered a letter to the office of President Charles Savarin asking him to secure the resignation of Skerrit as Prime Minister or have him removed from office on the grounds of gross misconduct. Linton said while he had not been granted an audience with the head of state, he left the correspondence with security at the front gate of the president's residence. The opposition also delivered a letter and petition to the Electoral Commission addressed to the chairman, Gerald Burton, calling for his resignation. Earlier, Police Commissioner Daniel Carbon had said the opposition did not have any authority to stage the protest march in the capital and warned people against breaking the island's laws.
Dominica celebrated Creole Day and the Val Nagar on the weekend. We hear more about this from Newsline Entertainment.
On full display on Friday as nationals paraded through the streets of the capital Roseau in full national wear or some variation of it. What was the occasion? It was Creole Day, which is observed on the last Friday in October every year. It is a celebration of the island's culture, music and cuisine. Creole is also spoken in St. Lucia, French Guiana, Martinique, Guadeloupe, St. Martin and Haiti. Friday night is also the start of the World Creole Music Festival, which runs until October 27. In a message posted to his Facebook page, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit said, like the rest of the country, he is also looking forward to the weekend's festivities.
Independence time is around. The Creole Festival tonight just concluded. Creole in the Park, which went very well. The country is bubbling. The country is bustling with activities, excitement. We have thousands and thousands of visitors to our country, in addition to many of our family and friends and citizens returning home as usual to celebrate this year's independence. So it's been very exciting. We look forward to the Creole Festival tonight. I expect to see a bumper crowd at the stadium. I believe just on the ferry terminal alone for the ferry, for this weekend we expect about 6,000 people coming in from the French islands, which is a huge number. And of course, you know, the French have been very supportive of us, the Martinique and Guadeloupe. Some countries are shy Messi, on Messi for that. And of course our patrons from all over the Caribbean and the world will be coming.
Trinidad celebrated Diwali Nagar this week. It is an annual celebration of Hindu culture as well as Indo-Trinidadian culture. Diwali Nagar is also associated with Diwali, the festival of lights. It is a celebration of light over darkness, the triumph of good over evil, and knowledge over ignorance. The president of Trinidad's National Council of Indian Culture highlighted the importance of keeping that aspects of the country's culture alive.
It has always been the aim of the NCIC to educate the Indo-Trinidadian and the wider community of our country of the greatness of our culture, of our fathers, and the need to learn, preserve, and propagate for fear of losing it all. For losing it all would be the greatest tragedy to befall the Indo-Trinidadian community. Thanks to organizations like the Mahasabha, the NCIC, and so many other like organizations, the culture of the Indo-Trinidadian has largely survived and been consolidated after the struggles during our almost 175 years of arrival to this country.
In sports, Julian Robinson, the man who coached Frederick Dakers to a silver medal at the recent IAAF World Championships in Doha, Qatar, is worried that the throwing events could hit the skids without financial support for athletes. Robinson says Jamaica has already lost the services of former national discus record holder Killian Knibb and fellow discus thrower Tarasu Barnett because they lacked financial support once they had completed their U.S. college scholarships. He says World Championship runners-up Dakers and Daniel Thomas Dodd are exceptions because they would be getting some sort of assistance from shoe companies and they're competing on the circuit. In our weather report, on Sunday, the center of Hurricane Pablo was located near latitude 44.7 degrees north, longitude 17.2 degrees west. Pablo is moving toward the north-northeast near 41 kilometers per hour. A turn to the north, then northwest, along with a decrease in forward speed is expected today. Maximum sustained winds have reduced to near 80 kilometers per hour with higher gusts. Weakening is expected to begin, and Pablo should transition to a post-tropical cyclone on Monday. Hurricane Pablo is not a threat to Jamaica, but the Meteorological Service will continue to monitor the progress of this system. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thank you so much for watching.